What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Underdog Podcast, episode 15. Big news, which is why we're doing this today. We got five talking points. We got the Stephon Gilmore trade. We're going to add in a little bit about the Panthers organization, kind of talk about why he was released from New England, and get into that. And then we got the Jaylon Smith, the release of Jaylon Smith, and then the Packers signing. We'll get into the Packers organization as well. And I'm going to do the Anthony Miller cut and Jakeem Grant trade, two smaller things on here, but I wanted to include them. And then the Urban Meyer situation update as well. So I'm going to get into the Stephon Gilmore. The first part of it, which was originally he was supposed to be released. And a lot of people were like, what are the Patriots doing? This is a terrible move. And I think it's a little bit like more advanced than that. It's not because they don't think he can't play. It was the last year and a half. So it was for 2020, because he won Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. For 2020, they moved some of his salary from this season to last season as a signing bonus, I believe. I think it was like $7 million. It was something like that, so that he could have more money last season because of the outstanding year he had in 2019, which was one of the best seasons by a corner ever. So that left, money off the table for him this season. So I think he was making a base of like $7.7 million. I don't know what the signing bonus was. I don't know. I don't even know if he had any. I think he had guaranteed money left, but it wasn't a ton. So he was looking for about $15 million this season in, money. And honestly, he was probably looking for an extension as well, but he wanted a restructure this year. And then he was probably, his agent was probably talking about an extension as well to stay with New England, because he did want to stay in New England. But Bill wasn't going to pay him that money because, one, they don't have it. And two, he would have had to not only restructure Gilmore's deal to give him the money that he wanted, but restructure other deals, and he didn't want to do that. So the base principle of him releasing Gilmore is it frees up $7 million in cap space, which opens up moves that they can make later in the season, like they're going to sign Jamie Collins, and other moves they make down the road. So I think that's where people kind of get this confused. Do I wish we didn't have to do that? No. But it kind of made sense from a business standpoint for this season. And honestly, the secondary's been playing really well without him. J.C. Jackson looks like a number one corner, and he's going to get his bag. Most likely, I would bet New England doesn't want to let him walk. Jalen Mills has been up and down, but he's had his good moments. He's had his bad moments as well. Jonathan Jones is really solid, one of the most underrated corners in the league. Played banged up a little bit. He got banged up a little bit in the Tampa Bay game. Still played really well. D-Mac and Duggar and Phillips are great as always. We've seen a little bit of Joanne Williams. He was inactive for the Tampa Bay game, so we'll see kind of if his role increases with Gilmore going. And if they bring up, like a Miles Bryant or somebody like that, to the active roster at some point. But yeah, this is, instead of him getting released, he gets traded to the Carolina Panthers, who traded, I think, a 2023 sixth round pick for him. And everybody's like, well, he's, definitely worth more than that. But look at the circumstance. He's going to get released anyways. So the, price for him is going to be a hell of a lot lower, in this circumstance, because he wasn't getting released. He was getting released anyways. If he wasn't getting released and they were shopping him, then maybe Carolina has to pay, I don't know, like a third or a fourth this year and a sixth next year. But all considering, I'll take it. As a Patriots fan, I'll take that. Anything for him at this point is good, because, you were going to release him anyways for nothing, and instead you get a 6th-round pick next year, which I know is not great compensation, but at least it's something. and you get $7 million in cap space, and they bring in Jamie Collins, which I forgot to mention we're going to talk about after this. But for the Panthers organization, look, they have done amazing moves over the last couple of weeks. They bring in C.J. Henderson right after J.C. Horn goes down. Great young prospect. They trade away Dan Arnold, who's a dime a dozen tight end, and they pick up a 5th-round pick as well. They swapped a 3 for a 5, and then here you pick up Stephon Gilmore, who's one of the best players when he's healthy in the league, for nothing. Honestly, it's nothing. So now in the secondary, you have Stephon Gilmore, who probably will slide into the slot with J.C. Horn's injury, and they'll have Henderson and Dante Jackson on the outside. Maybe have Dante Jackson move inside. But he struggled in the slot when they played him there last year, so I would assume they'd keep him on the outside. With Henderson, who are both more boundary corners, and Gilmore can play Gilmore's a boundary corner by nature, but he can also play in the slot. He's done both at New England, just depending on the matchup. So that's what they'll probably do. And then they also have Troy Pride Jr., Stanley Thomas Oliver, and J.C. Horn. And I think, don't they have A.J. Bouye, who's still suspended? That secondary is absolutely loaded. And then they also have Jeremy Chin and Justin Burris in the back end. So they are looking really nice on defense there for Carolina, who continues to just make really good moves. They're really smart about it. They're being aggressive, but they're making smart, aggressive moves to bolster that defense, which has been really, really good this year, except for getting blasted on the ground by Dallas. They're just making a lot of moves. Now I'm going to go to the Jamie Collins signing. Jamie Collins, whenever he's been at New England, has played his best football. He fits that scheme really well because Bill knows how to use him as an off-ball linebacker, out in coverage, on the edge, blitzing, in run defense. Bill just knows how to use this guy. And Jamie Collins is a rare athlete at the linebacker position. He can really do just about anything. It's going to help their pass rush. It's going to help their run defense, which in turn is going to help their secondary, which is going to make them a better defense. It just gives them another piece on that defensive side of the football to really, tinker with, to experiment with. I think it's a great signing for New England. Gets released from Detroit after, not being able to find a trade because his salary was stupid high. They're probably going to sign him for under $2 million. Still have $5 to $6 million to work with in cap space. It's just a smart move by New England. Jamie Collins, I think the last time he played there was a defensive player of the year candidate for half a season. So, we'll see if they can get, half maybe of what they got, 3/4 of what they got from him last time they picked him up. He should be a, very good contributor to this defense. So now I'm going to go into the Jaylon Smith cut. This one I did not expect. The Gilmore one, it kind of had the seeds were kind of there for something to happen with him. But the Jaylon Smith one, I just did not expect at all. He was named a captain on Sunday by Mike McCarthy, and then on Tuesday he gets called in and is cut. Just a gut wrencher, man. I mean, a dude that's had to deal with so much. If you don't know, he had a gruesome injury at Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl against, I believe, Ohio State. And then they took a chance on him. Dallas took a chance on him in the second round. Basically was out the whole first year to rehab, and then his second year he was kind of like a rotational player. In his third year he just exploded. Had a really good year. I think he made the Pro Bowl, and then his fourth year he was good again, and that's where he landed the big contract, which started, I believe, in 2020. Was his new contract, and 2020 he had kind of a down season. That Cowboys defense wasn't great in general. Then 2021, it kind of looks like in general over the last, season and a fourth, he's lost a step. It's tough, when you have knee injuries, especially at linebacker positions where you have to change directions a lot. You have to, you have to cover, you have to blitz, you have to, play run defense. You have to do so many different things. And it just looks like that Jaylon Smith's lost a step at this point, and that really is sad, man, because he's he's really truly one of my favorite players in the league. Just a great story, great guy. I think NFL Films did a little 10, 12-minute thing on him and his brother Rod Smith. It was a good little piece on him about just determination and stuff, and he really embodies that. And it was just tough. And they are really Dallas is really deep at that linebacker position. They got Van Der Esch, who he looks like he's lost a step as well after that neck injury. Micah Parsons has been absolutely wrecking games this season. You got Jabril Cox, who they just drafted. You got Keanu Neal, who's been playing Will for them. You got a couple other guys there too. They're just really deep, and they felt like they had enough guys there to let Jaylon Smith go. And what do you know? But the Green Bay Packers, who never touch free agents, say, "Hey, you wanna come here?" And obviously Matt LaFleur has a connection to him because he was at Notre Dame when Jaylon Smith was there as well. So this is a great signing by the Packers, whose weakest position is probably linebacker. Chris Barnes currently is out with a concussion. Devondre Campbell has played really well for Green Bay, I will say. Nice veteran signing, former Falcon and Cardinal. Ty Summers is decent. He's kind of more of a thumper, but they really didn't have a guy that was like Jaylon Smith, and he really becomes the alpha in this linebacker room. Now that he's signed here, it's just this is what championship teams do, is they go pick up guys like a Jaylon Smith who get cut, or they trade for Stephon Gilmore. And it was reportedly that Stephon Gilmore wanted to play in Green Bay. Just Carolina was like, "Hey, we want him," and they sent him a pick, and so New England was like, "Here you go." So it's too bad that they couldn't get Gilmore as well, but Jaylon Smith's a great pickup, especially to a weak linebacking core. And finally, Gutekunst does something. I've been critical of the Packers the last 2 seasons probably about how they don't make moves, in free agency in general, don't make moves like this mid-season to pick up free agents that can help them win the championship, and their drafting has just been awful. But great signing by the Packers. I hope Jaylon Smith can get back on track in Green Bay and get back to that player that we, saw his first, his third and fourth season in Dallas. Because I really do like Jaylon Smith. He really is a great player. He's a great dude. That injury, man, it's kind of catching up to him at this point, and hopefully he can, revive his career in Green Bay. And we have a couple smaller moves to get to. The Anthony Miller cut from the Texans. So I don't remember if I think the Texans signed Anthony Miller. I don't think they traded for him. He was cut from the Chicago Bears earlier in the offseason. And he didn't really live up to expectations as a second-round pick out of Memphis. And, I thought it was a nice veteran pickup for the Texans, who went on to trade Randall Cobb, so I figured he'd slide in the slot or on the outside, and then they signed Danny Amendola, so it was kind of like, what are we doing here with Anthony Miller? But he was hurt the first week. I don't remember. I don't think he played week 2, so he played week 3 against Carolina, and he caught a touchdown. He looked really good. Week 4, Texans just struggle. They don't, score nothing against Buffalo at Buffalo in a tough game, and they cut him. And I don't really get the move because they're thin at wide receiver. If I'm not mistaken, Nico Collins is now on IR because he's got a shoulder or something. And Brandon Cooks is really all you have there, and then they have they have Chris Conley, who's a decent veteran. Andre Roberts is their kick returner, and then Danny Amendola, who he's been banged up as well, has been playing as their slot receiver. But they don't have much after that, so I don't know why you cut a veteran Anthony Miller that's better than most of the options you have, especially with Nico Collins going on IR. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. It's especially with bad team. When you're a bad team, you got to keep as much talent as you can, and Anthony Miller, still has some potential left. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to, live up to that second round billing, but he was, he's a decent receiver with some nice speed. You can get creative with him. I don't really understand the move, especially with a team that probably isn't going to compete until Tyrod Taylor gets back. Davis Mills needs as much help as he possibly can. That offensive line isn't great, and Anthony Miller's a guy that can, get separation quickly with Amendola, work the, short to intermediate part of the field. I think it's just a bad move here from the Houston Texans. But maybe, they know something I don't, and they'll prove me wrong. So Anthony Miller, street free agent, logical places, New England, who doesn't have a ton of, wide receiver depth. In terms of other spots, maybe like a Jacksonville, because what's his face just got hurt. DJ Chark just got hurt. The Jets, because they don't have anybody either. Maybe the Ravens. Broncos have been getting hit with receiver injuries. Kansas City. Places like that's probably good landing spots for Anthony Miller. And then another move made this week. I think it was yesterday or Monday. Jakeem Grant gets traded to the Bears for, I believe it was a 2023 sixth-round pick from the Dolphins. For Chicago, I think it's a decent move. Let me look at their receivers here. Because Jakeem Grant, Matt Nagy's supposed to be known for his play calling, although he's been really trash this season at it. But Jakeem Grant's a nice little, he's a gadget player type piece. They have a lot of speed on this team. Deep threats like Darnell Mooney, Marquise Goodwin, and Zamir Bird. But Jakeem Grant's more of a gadget type player. You can use him on the jet touch passes and jet sweeps. Get him drags, just get him in space, and he's going to make some guys miss. Also provides incredible value as a returner, which is kind of what he was known for when he was at Texas Tech, was being a really good returner. And I think it provides him another dimension to this offense. I think just somebody that, Justin Fields, now who's been named the starter as well, which is huge from the Chicago Bears. That's also great news, and I'll, dive into that as well. It gives him kind of a guy underneath that he can throw to. It's just a chain mover. I think that's what they're going to use, Jakeem Grant as. And for Chicago, for Matt Nagy to name Justin Fields as their starting quarterback for the rest of the year is huge. It provides them way more versatility on offense, provides them with a dual threat quarterback, and just more upside at that position. Because I love Andy Dalton. I was pushing for him to start the season. And then, my original thing was have Andy Dalton start the season. And then when, they're out of playoff contention, because I didn't think this team was going to make the playoffs, start Justin Fields, because at that point it doesn't matter. And you're just building off of what you can next season. But then Andy Dalton got hurt. And then, the first start from Justin Fields was rough for sure against the Cleveland Browns, because Matt Nagy didn't form a game plan. And then Detroit, he got some momentum, looked okay, wasn't overly spectacular. But now I think it's a good time, to go to Justin Fields, because the Andy Dalton thing was a disaster. Matt Nagy gave up his play calling duties, and now they're ready to roll. And I think that with Justin Fields now, they can, look to better times, hopefully, for this offense, because this offense has been terrible to start the season. And we're going to finish it up with the Urban Meyer situation. So, I don't really know where to begin with this. I'm going to say this, that Urban Meyer may be the worst head coach signing ever in NFL history. It's the only other one I can think of was Bobby Petrino, but he left for Louisville midway through the season in Atlanta because he didn't want to deal with the bullshit in Atlanta that his players were giving him. But Urban Meyer has definitely lost the locker room. He didn't have much credibility there to begin with, and now has lost all of it. He's lost the locker room. He's lost trust from his owner, from the front office, from his players. I mean, it's just, it was just a terrible signing to begin with, and it's been way worse than I could have ever imagined. Shad Khan released a statement saying that he lost the trust and of the organization, and he's going to have to earn it back. I was like, why not take it a step further and just fire him? I mean, because, to be a really good head coach, you have to do one of three things, and the great ones do all three. It's, be a really good team builder. Know which pieces go where, how to use those pieces, and how to get, the best out of those pieces. And Urban Meyer doesn't do that. We know that for sure because he traded C.J. Henderson away for Dan Arnold, and he hadn't been using James Robinson until week 4. So clearly he doesn't know what positions are valuable and what aren't in the NFL. You have to be a scheme guy, so you have to either be a really good defensive scheme guy or offensive scheme guy. We know Urban Meyer is nowhere close to being that. And third, you have to be a motivator. You have to be a culture guy. And we definitely now know that Urban Meyer isn't that either. So why is Urban Meyer still the job? I don't know. I would have fired him probably after the C.J. Henderson trade. So this is 2 fireable offenses now. So why does he still have a job, Shad Khan? I mean, you were so close to just firing him. Why didn't you just fire him? Honestly, I think if he loses 1 or 2 more games in a row, he's probably gone. Or if this thing becomes so toxic in the locker room they can't win, then you should fire him. And if they do fire him, I say be look, Trevor Lawrence, go somewhere for the year, go to Europe, go to Fiji, go to Cabo, go somewhere. And, study the playbook, watch film, and work out, and wait for next year. Because, honestly, if you're Jacksonville, you have no, expectation to win this season at all. You were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the year regardless. So be as terrible as you possibly can. Trade your veteran players that make sense to trade. Don't trade a C.J. Henderson who has incredible upside. I mean, trade guys who have some type of value on the open market that can maybe bring you in something. I mean, I don't know. Trade. Let's see here. I mean, I wouldn't trade any of your offensive line because your offensive line's good, but trade guys on defense like Kayvon Chason has not lived up to the billing as a first-round pick at all. Somebody will take him. Baltimore would. Somebody like that. New England probably would. I mean, where, he can live that upside. I mean, trade him. Rayshawn Jenkins' contract is absurd, but I would have traded him. I wouldn't trade Myles Jack, but maybe a Damian Wilson. Roy Robertson Harris is too big of a contract. Maybe, if you can get anything for Taven Bryan, trade him. I mean, just trade people that make sense. Trade some veteran players, get some assets. Sit Trevor Lawrence, have C.J. Beathard start, say, listen, Trevor, we don't want to get you hurt. We don't want to ruin your career. Do that. That's what I would do. But people don't do that. I mean, that's what I would have done with Justin Fields. I mean, that's what they're doing with Trey Lance right now. So it seems to be working out because Trey Lance is looking pretty good. Looked pretty good in that Seattle game. So, but that's all I got on Urban Meyer. That's all I got for you today. Just some big news. Just wanted to highlight some of it. My thoughts. Panthers are. I don't want to say they're doing a lot of things right. I'm not going to say that they're not going to beat the Bucs in the division, but they certainly are playoff contenders right now. That 7 spot's probably up for grabs. There's just a lot of good teams in the NFC, so we'll see if the Panthers can capitalize on these moves and make the playoffs. So, but that's all I got for you today. So thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment if you like the video. Have a great day, everybody, and peace.